Pangolins of Central Africa. So I'm going to have to tell you a little bit about the country and how we got there and our history before we actually get on to working with pangolins. So the Central African Republic is a country that a lot of people have never heard of, but it is exactly where it is. It's in the center of Africa. It's larger than France, so it's a pretty big country. It's has bordered to the north by Chad, the east by Sudan and South Sudan, and the south by the Democratic Republic and the Republic of Congo, and to the west by Cameroon. Where I live is in this area down here. I'll just get my little MacGyver here if I can figure out how to work it. There's a pointer. So this little corner, that finger in the southern tip of Central African Republic is bordered on Cameroon and Republic of Congo. And our camp is just about here, where the dot is now. So I'm literally 30 kilometers to the west is Cameroon, and 30 kilometers to the east is Republic of Congo. Not Democratic Republic of Congo, the Republic of Congo, Congo-Brazzaville. Okay. How we started tourism development. We arrived by getting up there. We started in 2009 after I'd led trips through Cameroon and Congo, and eventually found my way up here and discovered a place that I thought was the most beautiful in Central Africa. And starting tourism here made a lot of sense because the area really needed it. It has a vast potential. It has this famous area called Zangabai, if you've ever seen forest elephants on any documentary, they've likely been photographed here. And it has habituated lowland gorilla, great people. So I'll just give you some of these pictures you would recognize from documentaries. It has animals like bongo, which are very difficult to see in other areas. And so the idea of starting a lodge here, to upgrade the tourism products from basic to a bit more comfortable, made a lot of sense. However, things were going quite well. We were getting tourists coming through. As you see, gorillas, lowland gorillas, you get really close to them, go through some of the products. They're incredible people we have there, the Baaka pygmies, hunter-gatherers still living in traditional lifestyles. They really form part of the ecology. They are wonderful, wonderful people to work with and to be with. And they really are just in the environment and part of the whole ecology of the area. And as they are pygmies, they are short. I am 6 foot tall, but yeah, that's Chris Murray. He's quite short, but the pygmy is shorter. It's also got great birding, and as you know, I'm a birder. This is Benek Rockfowl or Picathartes. We have them breeding there. Bristle-nosed barbets, red-bellied paradise flycatcher, black guinea fowl, 450 species within easy distance of my camp. So it's very rich in birds. This is one of the few birds we get there that occurs in South Africa. This is emerald cuckoo. And then, of course, as it's rainforest, it's got fantastic trees. I've been to lots of the rainforest in the Congo Basin and Gabon, and our trees are some of the most spectacular I've seen. The canopy height in some places here is well over 50 meters. And if you imagine 50 meters in a straight line on the ground, it's half a rugby pitch, I guess. But if you imagine it as a building, it's a 15-story building. So that's quite tall. These are some tourists. This is Bex from Zimbabwe, a friend of ours. Just massive trees with huge buttresses, and they form part of the biomass. So if you think of the Kruger without the baobabs, you know, the forest, it's not just about the elephants, it's about everything. The forest here is not just about the elephants and the gorillas, it's about the trees as well. huge trees with huge buttresses. This is a sapele mahogany. It's one very close to my camp, well over 50 meters tall. I've climbed it with ropes, of course, till about 38 meters, and I wasn't even close to the top of the canopy. A tree like this is the most in-demand tree by the loggers, so it's highly demand timber. A lot of it is sold throughout the world, including South Africa. And then we've got beautiful waterfalls and, you know, crystal streams and stuff. It's pristine forest. And in front of my camp, this is the view from my deck with some friends of mine kayaking and one of our kayaks and another kayak trip. So this is at our camp. So it's just things you do. One of the smaller rivers that flows into the Sangha River directly in front of our camp. And that's our lodge. So that's where we were. We started this lodge, and then to develop a tourism product to assist the communities and all the normal speech lodge owners will give you when they talk about what they do for the communities and everything. But then we had interruptions, setbacks. And in 2013, we had a coup d'etat. And we had to leave. Well, we thought we had to leave. Turned out we didn't, but it was better that we did. We left, and after 2 months, there was a massacre of elephants in Zanzibar. And I came back and negotiated with the rebels. These were the Chadian rebels from the north. They called them Seleka. And we got calm, brought back to the park, and they agreed to protect the elephants, etc. And things were going well. But then they got thrown out by other rebels, and these are the anti-Balaka rebels, and they're just thugs. Yeah, that was in 2014. Wasn't such a good time. But they only came to my camp once, and these three guys at the bottom of the stairs. I was up in the camp, and one of my staff came running up to me and said, the anti-Balaka are here, you've got to come, you've got to run. And so I ran down to the top of the stairs, and I've got about 20 stairs lead up quite a steep bank into my camp. And they were halfway up the stairs, and I just screamed at them, Les armes sont interdits! The guns are not allowed. It's all French there. And they stopped, and they said, but we the anti-Balaka. I said, I don't care who you are. The guns are not allowed in my camp. Get them to the bottom and leave them there. And they said, no, they can't leave their guns. And I said, well, then you stand there and I'll come down. So I went down, and of course it was very tense. But at that stage we had this little guy here in his hands is actually our pet mongoose. Was our pet mongoose, not pet. He was a rescue mongoose, but he was very, very tame. And he heard all the commotion, and he came running down the stairs. And these guys were amazed, and he ran straight to this guy in the middle and jumped on his leg, and the guy picked him up, and that's him there holding it, and you can see he's cracking a smile, and all the tension dissipated, and it was a big laugh and things. And yeah, he left in peace. And so I took this picture of them, and they left without bringing their guns into my camp. So from there we started. We were based, and we were doing a little bit of conservation intelligence work and stuff. And we started noticing an upsurge in pangolin poaching. This is a white-bellied pangolin on the side of the river, caught by Aka. This is another white-bellied with a Bantu villager. And so we started rescuing these pangolins from the bushmeat market. This is a black-bellied pangolin. And they started coming in big numbers. And this is how we started to get interested in pangolins. And once you've worked with a pangolin, there's no going back. They are the most amazing, gentle creatures you'll ever work with. So working with this white-bellied pangolins, we rescued many. Up till now, from 2013 until today, we are on 98 pangolins that we've rescued of black-bellied and white-bellied. So we went through them. This is my wife deticking one of the rescues. And the normal procedure for rescuing is we get them in, we measure them, do morphometrics, let's take all the measurements we can. We take a little bit of blood for sampling, detic them if we can, check them for health, and feed them and hydrate them if they need hydration, and then release them as soon as we determine they're healthy. So, which is about 70–80% of the time, I would guess, we release them straight away. Sometimes we have to keep them a little longer. This guy had a bad cut on his neck, damaged tail, and lots of them come in with damaged legs because they walk into these snares that catch them on the legs. So here we have white-bellied ready for release, another black-bellied. And the release is fun. So sometimes you take them straight out if they're old enough and get these releases done. These are white-bellieds. Now white-bellieds in some of the books are called tree pangolins, and black-bellieds in some books are called long-tailed pangolins. Now I think that's a very bad name because black-bellied in fact is totally arboreal. So in fact is a true tree pangolin. And white-bellied spends probably 50% of its time on the ground, if not more. But both have very long tails. So, but black-bellied certainly has a longer tail. So, but to avoid confusion, just stick with white-bellied and black-bellied. Okay, so that was a white-bellied release, as you see there. Sorry, and this is a black-bellied release. And I'm going to go through these slides quickly just to give you a sense of it. When a black-bellied gets released, it rolls itself into it. They always roll into a tight ball, a defensive ball, as you know, the pangolins are. This is to give you some scale. My wife's binoculars is ready to release. And then after 5 or 10 minutes, it'll slowly unwind and open up in the serpentine-like movements. And then slowly make its way off. Now, I've got a very good video of this on YouTube if you want to look it up, and it's my most popular video on YouTube. It's got 3.5 million views, so it's very good. But these are black-bellied. Now, of course, we found this was our first black-bellied we ever released, and we found it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we were 50 kilometers from the camp, and so we were driving. So we took it to our camp, we hydrated it. We were waiting for it to get dark so we could release it because all pangolins, as everybody knows, are nocturnal. Well, that's wrong. The black-bellied pangolin, as we found out and have since published, is diurnal, the only diurnal black pangolin there is. And in fact, the locals refer to the two small pangolins as Pangolin de jour and Pangolin de nuit. Pangolin of the day and Pangolin of the night. So they know they're nocturnal and diurnal. It's just us scientists and conservationists who didn't know that then. But these are just special. Okay. And occasionally we'd get, well, we got one mother with a baby we found in a sack on the side of the road. But then occasionally we would get tinies. This was our first black-bellied that we got that was really small, 80 grams. And this became a very famous pangolin called Pangi. And this is him 6 months later when he got quite a lot bigger. So you can see from the size of a cricket ball to the size of a small football, I guess. And there he is, very tiny. He really became very well known. We hand raised him. He slept on our bed. At the same time, a few months after he arrived, we got another white-bellied called Oko, and we hand raised those. That's him sleeping on my wife's shoulder. And he was when he was young, he was really friendly. And he was a very good. She was. I keep saying he, but it was a she. Here's Oko, the little white-bellied, and you can see the white belly. And black-bellied is completely black. So with raising these orphans was our best time. And what happened when we released them is they became, well, not so much for the white-bellieds because they're nocturnal and we lost them, but the black-bellieds, we ended up being able to, firstly, we take them out for feeding during the day with a team of Ba'aka, firstly with us and then with the team of Ba'aka. And then we would, and they would walk with them and watch them. And this is them in the early days with Tam, about to go out to take them out for foraging. And then they would watch them and through this. And then the pangolin would make its way back to our house. And this went on for months. And then the pangolin started to stay out 1 or 2 nights and then would come back, and then 3 or 4 nights, then would come back. Eventually it stayed out. But all that time, it was now so habituated that we could follow it. And so much was learned by following this pangolin, this particular pangolin, Pangi, that makes up more than 50% of all the knowledge of black-bellied pangolin behavior at the moment. And has been published in the IUCN book on pangolins that came out a couple of months ago. So this is Pangi, the famous pangolin. Okay. Now, some facts you may not know about pangolins, some sad facts. Pangolins are the most highly poached mammal in the world. By tonnage, to give you some, in the last year since the beginning of 2019, over 102 tons of pangolin scales have been found. That is tons of scales, not tons of pangolins. This is only, for my purposes, I've only included the seizures we know of over 1 ton. So as you can see, these are huge amounts of tons. Now you can imagine how many actual pangolins that is. Okay. I'm sorry, going backwards now. I think. Yeah. This is what 13 tons of pangolin scales looks like. Okay, now look at the figure, 102 tons. This is 13 tons seized in Singapore in 2002. Along with some seizures, this is another seizure, you get ivory. So sometimes the seizures become as a bycatch of ivory, sometimes, but they're all part of international crime now. They're part of the whole criminal syndicates. So ivory, rhino horn, pangolin scales, they're all part of the same trade now. Okay, so that's the facts that people need to know. Now, in my opinion, if you protect elephants and rhinos, you don't necessarily protect pangolins. And I know that from where I live. The elephants get a far greater protection, as do gorillas and great apes, than pangolins. In fact, throughout the Central African Republic and most of Cameroon and Congo, pangolins are largely ignored. But if you protected pangolins, you would automatically protect elephants and rhinos and any other big animals that were in the area. So I think the priorities have to be changed in the mindsets of people working in these countries. And we're doing our best to do that. Some fun facts about pangolins. Pangolins dig holes to poo like cats do, except arboreal pangolins, and they find holes in trees to poo. And this is a pangolin having a poo. And nobody, and scientists always ask, we can get so much from poo, you know, we just bring us samples of poo. When a black-bellied pangolin poos, it's probably at least 30 meters up in a tree. I just have this picture because he happened to be habituated and I was working with him at the time. So that's, they're very interesting in that way. So that's pangolin poo hole, that's where he's pooing. They have, the two species we have commonly, the black-bellied and the white-bellied, have prehensile tails with a tip on the end that has sensors. These sensors act like a finger, so it's like you can touch, what do they call them, receptors. So they can feel with those, they can feel the texture, the strength, as you would be able to feel with your thumb or fingers. they can feel with the tip of their tail to feel if they're gripping hard enough and so on. And they have the longest tails of any mammal. The black-bellied pangolin has 47 caudal vertebrae in its tail. That means it's the longest tail and it has the most vertebra of any mammal. Okay, those are 3 fun facts. The first one, of the 4 facts I gave you, the 3 were fun. We did some other animal rescues. This was Kusi, the mongoose we had. He came into us brought by a fisherman. He was already tame. He was already about 6 months old, we guess, and had been permanently tied up. I untied him, and he remained the friendliest animal, the most fun animal until he went wild. The interesting thing with small carnivores and things like this, with these guys, is when their hormones kick in, they will go and seek a mate, and they won't stay in the camp. So it's very easy to raise them and rewild them if you're in the right place. For things like monkeys and stuff, we don't take monkeys at all. We won't accept any orphans of monkeys because I don't want to have that burden. I don't know what's going on. We've once found this. It fallen out of a nest somewhere, and it was very weak, and it weighed 22 grams when we got it, and it was 35 grams when we released it. It's a Demidov's-galago, the smallest primate in Africa. We are very privileged to have the largest primate, gorillas, and the smallest primate in the same area. And then we've raised several duiker. This is my wife with one of our duikers that we raised, and our cat. Now the cat, I've had this cat 10 years now, and she's lived with all our rescued animals. She has hated every single rescue animal we've ever had, except duikers. She's always got on well with the duikers, and they get on well with her. It's just been an amazing relationship. Duikers are really cute, these blue duikers to raise. And porcupines. This is a brush-tailed porcupine, the porcupine of the forest there. We've raised a couple of, well, we've raised this one. Really stunning little animal. Real characters too. They do smell, so you don't want them in your house for too long. We raised a wood owl that was chick that a tree blew over the nest site, and they were clearing the road of the fallen tree and found this wood owl chick in the stump. And here's raising a young pangolin. And what you have to do to raise it, you have to get ants and ants nest. So we get the ba'aka to collect us a certain kind of ants with the eggs. The eggs are vitally important. And we then freeze the ants overnight or for a couple of days, which kills the ants and makes them easy to handle, and then feed them to the pangolins. We've had some other really cool animals. This is a Goliath beetle, the largest beetle in the world. Look at the size of that on my hand. The size of that compared to my cat. And then we've had some other interesting animals come through. This is Arthur Snygon. He's going to be giving a talk to the LCA next, the LCA juniors meeting next in August, I think. In August or September. Yeah, I think it's in August. He did a really nice adventure when he was just finished school or university, where he cycled throughout Central Africa to all the elephants' hotspots, so to Zakuma, to Zanga, to Nubali and Doki, Odzala, all the Gabon coast and into Gabon and northern Cameroon, Babangida and other parts. He cycled and kayaked. He had this inflatable canoe, which he arrived on his bicycle to my place, and he put that on the canoe and he cycled out. So Arthur is another one of the interesting animals we've had come by our camp. But do get your juniors to tune in when he does that. Thank you for listening. I hope you found that enjoyable.